Welcome to Caffeine Confessionals. We are here for the Double Agents Episode 5 recap. My name is Alan Aguirre. This is my lovely podcast co-host, Miss Nikki Sin.
Hello, hello. Happy to be back. Episode 5 already?
Yes, Episode 5 already. I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was another just like a solid episode, just like a very B plus episode. And this season has been chill vibes overall. I don't know about you.
It has. I feel like they really pumped it up in the pre-shows, and I feel like they're delivering based on what they were like selling to us. They're like, there's going to be drama. There's drama. There's going to be like physical altercations in the daily challenges, and I think they're the challenge for once is really delivering in the most like recent seasons.
I think there are some people disappointed in this season, and I think that's because some people want this show to be like one of the best seasons ever, and if it's not, they just get immediately upset. Whereas this season, it's just solid. There's nothing for me personally. There's obviously things I can complain about, but I'm enjoying watching it every week. I'm not like going into the episodes just upset like I was previous seasons.
Yeah, I feel like Total Madness, so season 35, I feel like I was really hyped on it. I was like, okay, like the bunker's gonna be so cool. There's like all these like newbies that I haven't seen before. Like I was so happy Melissa was back. And then it just like it was terrible. I did not like it. It didn't have the things that I needed, which was the drama to go with the like physical competitions. They were just miserable. On this one, there seems to be everything that I want, except for Melissa.
That season, agreed. And World of Worlds 2 felt like a chore. This one just, it's very welcoming. And even though the people who are getting a majority of the screen time thus far are not people I expected, it's still been good. Like there are people I actively dislike who are getting the focus put on them, and yet I'm still coming out of these episodes like wanting to see more.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, I can't wait to see Devin on the screen again.
He's been a highlight this season, like in all honesty.
I think he's really coming into his own because he doesn't have to play up that whole like Bananas and I have a rivalry role. Because Cory did that for a while, and it just like I don't think it was working for him.
Yeah, getting into the episode, we open up with Cory being upset at Fessy because, he just betrayed their friend. And Cory just flat out tells them, like, dude, I don't consider you a friend. You weren't ever Nelson's friend because a real friend would not do that. And it's flat out true.
Yeah, and Fessy was totally lying. He's like, I didn't know, like that's what was gonna happen. Like I had to get my gold skull. I didn't know it was gonna be like Hall Brawl. I didn't know it was against Nelson. And it's like Tori was like, she told him. He was like, I want it. And she's like, yeah, but it's Nelson. And he's like, I want it.
Yeah, point blank lying. Then you have the people in the audience, like everyone, people in the house, people outside, just watching them with excitement because this is the closest thing to Netflix they're gonna get. It reminds me, it reminds me of that CT quote from Invasion where he's like, this is better than TV. It is TV. Yeah.
Watching like I think it was CT like pretending to like sip a drink and like eat popcorn too on the sidelines. Oh,
He was
perfect.
drinking. Obviously, he wanted to make it known to us that he was drinking something by his gesture, like going.
The,
It was also the most
the tea?
awkward looking drink of all time. I was like, I would never want to drink anything in that way.
What
Uh,
is that?
then Josh jumps in
Ugh.
because this is one of the few times Josh hasn't been completely dunked on in an argument this season. Because he's like, dude, you took my chance. I wanted to go in, and we all
There
know
was no
that
fan.
Nelson. We all know Nelson would have killed him in that elimination, considering what he
Yeah.
did to Fessy. And then where it really devolves is the fact that Tori jumps in and tries to like defend Fessy, like he's the man she's engaged with.
Yeah. And Fessy's like, Tori and I just have like this real connection. And I'm like, yeah, wait, what about her fiance? And like, I'm not the biggest Jordan fan. I'm not a fan of like his past. Like I think he's a really strong competitor, but like him personally, not a huge fan. But like what's being shown and how it's being edited is just doing Jordan so dirty.
Agreed. There's even a scene later in the episode where his photo is blurred out, with her in their bedroom, and I was like a little detail I noticed, and I was like, oh man, they're doing Jordan dirty here. Uh,
Is he getting deed?
I don't know. Maybe they just do that with all like family type photos. I guess
Mm,
I would assume he wouldn't get blurred out because he is a cast member on the show and a former champion. Then again, maybe they are pulling a D type stuff. What I did want to mention though is that with the Josh stuff and Tori's
yeah.
like, "No, Josh, I thought I was saving you," and which is not true because like
No.
she was
She,
helping out Fessy.
yeah, she was all dickamatized to him, was like, yeah, I, I don't know why she couldn't just like be honest about it.
What really disgusted me personally, I don't know if I'll use disgusted, but really annoyed me was the way she threw Devin under the bus. And she was like, Josh, I'm trying to protect you from this guy, Devin, when
Yeah,
in reality, Devin is the guy who graciously allowed Tori to put Fessy in
yeah,
when that doesn't help his game at all. He wanted to
no,
put in Jay because even though he had his beef with Amber, Devin and Nelson are still friends. And overall, he put his game on the line for Tori. And now she's throwing him under the bus in front of Josh, saying, like, I saved you from
yep,
him. That's like if you make, like, I don't know, 20 brownies for a guy, and then that guy gives, like, a brownie to Josh, like, yeah, I made you a brownie. Like, no, you did it
yeah,
for Fessy.
no, yeah. And she did it for herself, ultimately. She wasn't doing anyone other than like herself a favor.
It was gross to me because, like, we've ragged on Devin a lot, but he was being a good teammate in this moment. And then
Yeah,
she just threw away any chance of reconciliation and played a really selfish game. And the way she talked to him, the way she cursed him, not just like not even get himself involved, and
yep,
he didn't. I thought that was really respectful out of Devin, and I thought it was
for once.
yeah, and I thought it was just rude of Tori.
Yeah, I feel like Tori might be one of the cast members that needs to take like a season's break. You know
Yeah,
how
it's
like
I
Kara in War of the Worlds was like just that was her like it seemed like it was her everything, which like I get it, that's their job. But I feel like Tori needs to like take a break.
she either needs to take a break or just fully heel turn. She just needs to go like I'm a villain now. I'm gonna embrace this role.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this and that, and I'm not even gonna pretend to be a good guy anymore. Because to me, it's one way or the other. I at least want someone who commits to something and just goes all out, rather than
Yeah.
being all wishy washy.
Like Amber M's going all in. She's like, "No, I'm not a layup. I'm not as weak as people think that I am, and I'm not going to sit there and take it quietly." Like she's owning that role, which I respect the hell out of.
Which transitioned us perfectly because then we have a scene where there are four girls in a room. It is
Yep.
Big T, Amber M, Gabby, and Amber B. And they
So like
talk about
rookies.
yeah, they even though Big T is not actually a rookie, they talk about themselves as rookies
Yeah.
because they kind of get treated that way. Uh, and they orchestrate a plan where their goal is to make Anissa the House vote and Tori the double agent power vote if they get the chance.
Yeah.
They choose Anissa as the House vote because they think like, well, more people think Anissa is weak, and thus it's easier to rally votes against her, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Amber, oh my bad, go for it.
Oh, it's probably just like a lot less of a ripple effect. Like if they put Tori in, Tori seems to have more people like on her side than Anissa does. Seems like Anissa just kind of has Tori and Nani.
Yeah, and what I was impressed by was the way that Gabby and Amber were talking because we know Big T wants to play the politics of this game, and she actually does in this episode. But the way they were just speaking, Amber really impressed me because they were talking game, like
Yeah.
legitimate game and like strategy. And it's
Yep.
funny because Tori is accusing them of being weaker girls who are trying to get out stronger girls. And that's not what they're truly aiming for.
That's not the case.
They were friends, and Tori called them weak. Thus, they are retaliating, which is
Yeah.
what you should do.
It's I don't, like what were they gonna do? Just like stand down and be like, yeah, like if Tori's like, oh, you're a weak player. Like, oh, you're right. Okay. I guess just put me in. But only put me in if it's something very physical that you know you can beat me at because I'm weak. Mm. Like I would
They
never
na-
do.
they name themselves the Itty Bitty Small Committee, which to me, you either have to call yourself the Itty Bitty Small Girl Committee or the Itty Bitty Committee, which has great rhyming to it.
I prefer Itty Bitty Committee. I
I,
myself have actively, since probably like the age of 13, been part of an Itty Bitty Committee. Um, you know, stature wise. So you have to go with the rhyming concept of it.
it was a great name. They're a great group. I don't know if Amber B is in the Itty Bitty Committee because
She's so tall.
when the scene starts, she's in the room, and then when they name the alliance, she's not in the room, and she's like 5'9". So I don't know if she's legally
Yeah.
allowed to be in the Itty Bitty. Maybe she's a
She's
friend of
legally
the Itty.
allowed. Maybe she can get like a sponsorship from like a shorter girl to be like, yeah, it's cool.
She's like, I'm friends with Natalie Negrati from Big Brother 16 and the challenge. She is my sponsor. I'm
Yeah.
her plus
So
one.
I'm her plus her minus one of like a foot. So
What I love about this group is that the way they talk to each other and the way they talk game, it really depicts female friendship and support in a very powerful way. And
I
when
love it.
you compare it to Tori, who on social media, talks all about, powerful females and stuff like that. And then in this game is calling these girls layup and tearing
Yep.
people down. These girls are actually supporting one another in a healthy way, and you don't see that a
Yep.
lot on TV.
No, and I feel like Tori is just constantly like, okay, like they're weaker, they're like I want to take them out. And then when she gets called out on it, she's like, well, no, you gotta like earn your stripes. You gotta like show that you gotta like earn this. It's like, well, which one do you want then?
Yeah, Tori's like, I didn't just jump on the challenge and was like treated like a princess. I'm like, I think on her third challenge on Dirty 30, she was picked first out of all players. And,
Yeah.
Jordan immediately latched onto her, was like, yeah, I'm running a final with Tori. Like, it's her life on the challenge started on third base, and somehow she's all the way back on first base.
Yeah. And she's sort of like lucked out because the time period in which she became like, one of the faces of the challenge is when it seems like the physical competitions were like really geared towards her physical stature.
It's weird because Tori is not like, you can't say she's a bad competitor based on some of her accomplishments on this show. At the same time, there's just something very artificial towards her that just, it feels like she's like a set of bowling pins getting like just ready to get
Yeah.
knocked down over and over again.
She's got a bad attitude too, like a bad attitude. I don't like it. Something about it like doesn't sit right with me. Again, I do not like when people are like, yeah, like women need to like stand together. Yay, girl power. Girls supporting girls and then just like shitting all over them. Like pick
Yeah,
one, pick a side.
nothing she's shown on the show over all
No.
seasons really depicts that.
Well, she didn't show up in the daily, so
The dailies we're going to talk about next, and right before it starts, TJ informs people that Natalie has to leave the game due to a personal issue, which makes three girls this season who have left the show via
yeah.
non-elimination or purge methods. That's 20% of our female cast, and that just sucks because I think a lot of people were excited to see Natalie. I mean, just based on the
Yeah.
preseason hype. I mean, she's a Survivor runner-up of the all-winner season, and just a beast.
Yeah, and like two rookies have left. It's not like people that we've got to see compete. Like I feel like Liv could have given so much more. I feel like Natalie still had so much more in her. So I thought it was a real shame. I hope to see
Yeah,
Natalie back on another season though. I think that she could really dominate that.
it's rumored that she got into it with a lot of people, got into a lot of like arguments slash fights,
I would have
and
loved to have seen them.
yeah, I would have loved to see them. And part of me thinks that MTV edited them out because they don't want
Mm.
negative comments towards her because they want her to come back for a future season. So they're trying to keep her edit as clean and as positive as possible,
Like
so
they do with
that
their favorite fruit, bananas.
because I don't think that she had anything like necessarily bad, but I just think the fandom itself can sometimes be rude, especially towards strong women.
Yeah. And like I'm not even talking about like the fandom just on Twitter. Like if you go on Reddit, what a scary place to be. the challenge community. Oh my God.
In my opinion, Reddit is the best place. For me, like the worst are Twitter, Instagram. I mean, I love them too at the same time. Instagram, some weird comments I see on Instagram all the time, and then Facebook.
Maybe
Facebook is hit or miss because like there are some really good comments on Facebook, and then some people like won't even watch the show and they're just ready to comment. They're like,
yeah.
I'm not even gonna read your post, but now that I see somewhere I can comment, I'm gonna go all in, and
Yeah.
it's hilarious. But I mean, I think that's part of any fandom.
Well, I find it particularly difficult being like a female fan and like female person that writes about the show and talks about the show because it's like scary on there.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I've talked about before where, I'll have people who are readers of my articles who are really positive towards me, but then they'll, in a comment, they'll throw a dig at a human being that to me is just not cool. And it's just
Yeah,
little stuff like that that makes me think that, like, yeah, it's a good thing that, MTV maybe didn't depict Natalie in a bad way, at least this first season. So that way, next season when she comes on, or whenever she comes on for a future season, people will still be as hyped for her.
yeah, and I think it was also really important to depict somebody from Survivor as really strong, especially a female, because like Jay earned his stripes last season. I've said what I said about his any views he has that may be a little bit red, but I think Jay's a strong competitor.
Yeah, I mean, he keeps
So
proving himself again and again.
it's nice to
Uh,
have like a solid female representation, a solid male representation from Survivor.
I want them to bring in a terrible Survivor player. I want them to bring in the least
Wendell,
athletic Survivor player, and so that person can just get dunked on. And
Boston Rob.
no, I mean Boston Rob, he was good at the Survivor challenges.
No, he's
If you
just too old now.
if you let him do a Survivor, because if you watch him at the end of Winners at War, he was in shape
I
by the
no,
end of Winners at War.
I'm a Boston Rob fan. Boston Robert, I love it.
Okay.
I want
Moving on.
I want Janelle though from Big Brother. Like if I could go back in time to like much earlier challenge seasons, I would have like paid money to see Janelle and Trishelle like just like spilling wine and yelling at each other. I oh
I agree. Moving on, we have the next twist, which is TJ brings in Ashley back into the game because they don't want to have a fourth male elimination already this season and not a third in a row. It makes sense because, you know, we need more females after so many have been taken out.
yeah.
Especially for the skull twist, it's just unfair if, with a limited amount of skull/eliminations, we need more. I'm a little bit shocked because they had Jenny West as an alternate who lives in Europe, who they could have just flew in.
But she
Right
might
then.
not have been like quarantined still.
Do you think Ashley was quarantined? Do you think she
I
was still
feel like
quarantined? Why would she
I
be
feel like
quarantined after she
after
got eliminated?
but do they like send them to like a hotel after? I feel like they don't get like a direct flight home.
Well, she got eliminated like 2 weeks ago at this point in the game.
That's true. But you're supposed to quarantine for 2 weeks.
Was she? I don't think she would. I mean, if you got to bring someone back, bring in Ashley because she's more entertainment. But it's just funny to me that they had all these alternates of people who got left off the cast, and then they bring in Ashley back. Though we do need the star power of
Yeah.
Ashley on the show.
And the comedic value. Actually, if you're listening to this or watching this, were you quarantining? What happened? Can you tell
I,
us?
I did enjoy that when Ashley came in, like, oh, I heard it's been boring since I left. And that's some people on Twitter's opinion, like, it's been boring.
Yeah. And she has like a great fan base.
Truly, truly.
I'm part of it. So
The daily challenge was players had to unravel 200 feet of rope. As they try to do so, their female counterpart would hold on to a ledge to which
it was
they were
so
standing
high
on,
up.
to which they were standing on a tiny perch overhead of a beautiful waterfall. Then, once the players had the 200 feet of rope pulled up, they can go and grab their partner's hands to hold them up. After a certain amount of time, TJ will hit a button and that perch will be gone,
Oh,
thus meaning the players can only hold on to the ledge itself or their teammates' hands. They were competed in 2 heats. The team to go the longest overall wins. It was a visually cool daily challenge, and it's one
So scary looking.
I want them to bring it back for future seasons. Like every partner season
Yeah.
they do from now on, I want this to be one of the challenges.
I thought it was going to be trivia because he was like, TJ was like, at some point, at any point, I can just like get rid of that platform. And I was like, oh, it's trivia. Yes. I got a hall brawl and then trivia. This is great. But then it was just like an endurance thing. And I was like, oh, fair. Okay.
I loved it. I thought it was awesome. And Heat 1, the people who competed in it were Devin and Tori, Anissa and Leroy, Jay and Teresa, Nam and Lolo, Amber B and Darrell, and the team of Gabby and Leroy. Also, that's not me like saying his name wrong. That's what the graphic on MTV said when they threw up the names. So Gabby and Leo were the 6th team. Little mishap by MTV.
Ugh. Ugh.
What was great
about this?
What was great about this daily challenge is that some people tried much less than others. Devin, because it was a female elimination day, just didn't even try at all.
No.
He was like, after what Tori did yesterday, yeah, I don't really care about winning. So when TJ hits that button, she gets knocked off immediately.
He looked like he was like pantomiming pulling the rope. He was like, ooh, ooh. It was funny.
It's like when everyone is like trying to clean up after like a party and you're just staying in like one little corner of the room and you're just like cleaning up that one little corner because you don't want to do anything and you're just trying to pretend like you're working.
I would never do that if any of my old bosses are watching. I've never done that.
Of the people pulling out the rope, the 2 fastest were Jay and Leroy. Really impressive by Jay, who came in first out of these people, because he just had the method down. He was just pulling out that rope. He just had the momentum.
He's a rock climber. That's like their MO is like so much rope.
Yeah, grip strength and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Leroy, great grip strength, great history with stuff like this. I expected him to kill it. Nam and Lolo did solid. Leo was not that fast when it came to pulling the rope. And when TJ hits the button, Gabby actually has to hold on to the cliff and holds on long enough for Leo to actually get to her. So that really impressed me because she was holding herself up for a long time. Darrell and Amber held onto the cliff for as long as she could, but she dropped right when Darrell finishes pulling out the rope, which is the most horror movie type finish, where he
the way that she swung, it reminded me of on Invasion when like Theo is just like swinging in the background because he quit. He didn't want to do the challenge, the elimination, like looking like Britney Spears.
What's funny is that when TJ hit the button, Leroy and Anissa's grip were not great because she just immediately falls, even though he's one of the first people. Where like they definitely underestimated how much they need to hold each other. They're like, "Oh, I have to hold all of you. Oh my god, I'm sorry."
Yeah, it. What did surprise me though was that it kind of seemed like Lolo let go of Nam. Because she was sort of making it seem like she wanted to go in.
It was, I think Jay had the better strategy. It came down to Jay, Teresa, and Lolo and Nam. And one of the big differences was Jay kept switching up his stance. He was like letting his legs go free. He was standing up at points. He was crouching. And what people don't realize is that when you do stuff, when you hold someone with your upper body for that long, what tends to cramp up / tense up are your legs because you're keeping them in a certain position. And when your upper body is exerting that much force and has to relax, your legs are what go out on you. And if you don't have that stability to hold someone up, then you just fall apart. Whereas Nam stayed in that same crouch position for a super long time.
Yeah. I think that Nam underestimated the physical techniques it would take to perform in this challenge. Like it wasn't just like about being strong, because like him and Lolo both physically very strong. Her temper seemed a little bit off. She was like, I'm just getting more and more angry. I'm like, why are you getting angry?
I mean, nobody wants to get dropped in her defense.
Yeah, but maybe that sexual frustration for 38 years is really starting to. Uh, my solution is just bang Nom, but that's fine.
Jay wins the heat, and overall, it's super impressive. Especially, nobody expected that from him. He continues to impress on this show. Heat 2 had Amber, Em, and Michi, Josh and Nany, Cam and Kyle, Fessy and Casey, Ashley and Cory, and then Big T and CT.
My favorite team. I love them.
Very impressively, Kyle's the first person to get his ropes done. They come in third place overall, which I find very impressive since this is one of the few challenges where Cam's size is a bit, it hampers them a bit. And for how long he'll her up, it was very great. I mean, usually her size is an advantage. This one, not so much. Fessy, very not impressive in this challenge. Where he just, lets Casey go relatively early. Michi, I didn't expect much from him here, and he performs about what I'd expect.
But Amber's so small. Like, how could he not just
he's small too.
Oh.
He's the smallest guy in the house. He's like 145 pounds.
He's really just like coasting his way through too. Good for him.
He did about what I expect. And then Cory just really phoned this one in. I think Cory was also like, it's a girl's day. You could see that in his head.
But I don't think it's a good idea to just automatically be like, okay, well, it's girls' week, so whatever. I'll just drop her. Because you don't know what's going to happen throughout. You don't know who's going to get like DQ'd for something.
I just think he realized at like a certain point, like, this isn't going to be my challenge. We're going to take this L. Then we have the final two, which is Josh and Nany and Big T and CT. And Josh, as he's about to drop Nany, like, it's very clear that he is like 2 seconds away from dropping Nany. He tries to pull the big brother move where it's like, CT, you're safe with me. I'm not going to put you up as HOH. No backdoors, nothing.
CT's like, okay, well, this isn't Big Brother. And Nany's like, no, don't. Poor Nany.
I mean, he did well. I mean, he did come in second place, so he did well. It's just funny that he tried to pull that play when it was quite evident that CT was like cruising. And this is the perfect challenge for their duo because Big T, very small, CT, very big.
He could have done that with like one pinky. He could have just like held her by that.
The people who competed in the second heat had a big advantage, though, where they got to see all the techniques from the first heat, and they had a rough estimate of what it would take to win.
I probably wouldn't even have gotten on the platform. I don't like heights.
I mean, Big T was literally terrified, and then CT and her won, and that's huge. It was a big win for the two of them.
Yep. It was like we said, like the two of them really complement each other.
Yeah, and CT
Fluffy Bunny and Hawk or something.
Yeah, Bunny and Hawk.
Yeah.
Then after the daily challenge, Big T and CT are named the winners, and CT is letting Big T take the reins. Big T is putting her plan that they already talked about in play, where they're going to make Anissa the house vote. Then they're going to blindside Tori as the power vote, and it's great because they already know what they're doing. Everything else from there is just a charade. They just have to finesse some votes their way, being like, hey, please vote Anissa. It doesn't hurt you in any way. Just vote her in. And many people agree.
Yeah, and
That
Big T gets to play up the whole royalty role, and I love it.
is
They like
adorable.
they make like that like fake VIP booth for her, and she like literally has Tori like kissing her hand, her
That
ring
was the
finger, like
most
the
Bob
Godfather.
Boss thing ever.
I loved it. Just like it was like watching Tori literally get kicked off of a pedestal.
Kiss the hand that
Yeah,
is going to send you into elimination. That is going to send you right in,
I
and it
love
was
it.
cool. Uh,
No
yeah, I
hesitation
mean, it's
either.
funny though because people are like, "Oh yeah, Big T's getting full of herself," and like Big T and the Itty Bitty Committee already had their game plan set up,
Yeah.
and now they're just putting it in motion. Fantastic.
Big T's done this before though. So I remember she was in the tribunal and wasn't she like joking around with like the Holy Trinity, so like Nani, Kayla, and Jenna, and she was like, if you guys do the dishes for me and like serve me breakfast.
Well, that time they didn't really take her seriously, and they're kind of like treating
Well,
her as a
yeah,
joke. This time, though, Big T already has the play, so when she's doing that with Tori,
yeah,
it hits a lot deeper. It hits a lot better. One of the critical moments of this is the fact that Tori keeps operating in her Tori world, and she's
yeah,
like, "Yeah, let's vote in a small girl, because then I can beat a small girl in the elimination. Let's beat the small girls, and
yeah.
let's beat
Everybody should
Amber
just
M."
hand me a gold skull.
Yeah, like let's go for Amber M. She's obviously the weakest person here. To which Amber M hits her with one of the best lines, I think, in challenge history, where she tells Tori, I respect you as a competitor, but if you are going around telling other people that I'm weak and you're not telling me, then I take that as you being weak. And I was gobsmacked. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, whoa.
Amber M. If that's not earning stripes, I don't know what is.
Even if you feel, even if she is a weak physical competitor, like maybe she is, like we don't know yet. We don't
Yeah.
really know. Uh, from a social and from a political and from just like a toughness standpoint, the girl has that. She just comes
Yep.
straight at you. She kind of reminds me a little bit of like three people. Jim Halpert from The Office, where her face, like sometimes she's just like, "Why am I here? Like, what's going on?" Aubrey Plaza, just
Okay.
in like Aubrey Plaza type, like I like to see the world burn type ways and just being an icon in different ways. And Amanda Garcia, in that she kind of has that cutting ability. She
Yeah,
kind of
the bite.
has the cutting ability, but she has kind of like an Aubrey Plaza like demeanor to her.
Yeah.
And then other times it's just like her in the kitchen eating food, and it's
Same though.
the that to me that's like the Jim Halpert where she's just like, I couldn't be bothered in this moment. I'm just here to like live my life. Like I don't know why you're coming at me. I'm gonna keep this same energy as I go along. And it's it's the complete opposite of Tori, where she's talking all around and just
Yeah.
being not direct as a whole. Then they go to the deliberation, where the two people who are competing for votes, or at least how they believe they're competing for votes, is Tori and Amber. And Anissa's also in there involved, obviously trying to defend Tori.
Yeah.
And it's so blatantly like the difference between Amber and Gabby, and Anissa and Tori is that Anissa and Tori, when they talk about the game, they're just rambling, just talking in.
In not even circles, like unfinished circles. They're like, yeah, but
It,
we should take out all the small girls. Yeah, but you have to earn your stripes. Like, you have to go into elimination because you have to earn your stripes. Like, you have to go into elimination too because you need a gold skull.
it was interesting to me because they were like, not even circles. It's like they're gonna, yeah. So it's like a straight line, and then right before they get to the person, they create a little circle around them,
Yeah,
and it's just like, look, we're gonna point at them, but we're not gonna actually say them for whatever reason because we don't want to be like we don't want to be the person accusing. We don't want to be the
no.
aggressor,
They're
and
both
it's just
they're both talking really loud but not saying anything.
it was so
No
transparent
points were
and
made.
fake. Meanwhile, Gabby and Amber are just talking directly. They're just talking right at you.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite moments is as Amber's talking in Anissa's talking in circles, they pan in on Amber's face, and she's just like looking across the room, like, "What the hell is this person talking
Yeah.
about?"
Like, are you ever gonna have a point?
What's very transparent about this conversation that they're having is that Anissa and Tori very much believe that Tori's the one getting voted in as the House vote.
Yeah. Which is sort of like it's the itty bitty small I'm gonna call them the itty bitty committee. It's their whole plan like coming together because that's what they want. They want to be able to blindside Tori.
Then, when the votes are actually revealed, 15 out of 22 people voted for Tori, which is a pretty heavy majority for this point in the game.
Didn't they vote for Anissa?
My bad. I voted for Anissa. My bad. It's a
Yeah.
pretty heavy majority. When tracking down the other votes, the people who didn't vote for Anissa were Anissa, Fessy, Tori, Josh, Jay, Teresa, and one other person who's not coming.
Not even her partner. Leroy, her partner, was like, you win.
It's funny though, because even Leroy said like, "Yeah, I'm not voting. I'm voting in Anissa because I don't want Cam to see Tori in elimination." So that makes me wonder: did Leroy know that Anissa was the target, or I'm not 100% sure on that. It confused me a bit. But the overall votes show that Anissa was the target for this vote. And the people who didn't vote for her, Cory was the other person who didn't vote for her. So those three, him, Jay, and Teresa, they promised not to vote for Anissa based on like being friends and like burning those votes. And the others were targeting Amber M. And they just didn't. They were in the dark. They didn't know it was going to be Anissa.
I loved it. It was sort of interesting to see Teresa have to like play both sides, so like old school and new school. Like she really wanted to defend Anissa after being friends with her for so long and like being on the show with her for so long, but she's sort of like in more with this like itty bitty committee.
It's a sinking ship for her. It's like I'm not going
it's not gonna play out well for her.
What's funny is the way she described Tori, where it's like, yeah, I have my old friend and my old friend's friend, I guess.
Yeah. This friendship that they're definitely not playing up even further to promote a different podcast.
The Anissa Tori friendship is so sudden and so shocking, where Anissa represents like the opposite of everything Tori is, or at least has in the past, and like Tori's like actively like called her a layup in the past, and Anissa never wants to be like called weak and stuff like that.
It seemed very odd.
What was more shocking, the fake Josh West rivalry or the Anissa Tori best friendship?
I'm gonna say the Anissa and Tori one because I openly talk about how I think that Josh does like everything for the camera. Like he wasn't meant for Big Brother. He wasn't meant for the challenge. Like he's waiting to get on Bad Girls Club. He wants it to come back on. I want to see him go like nose to nose, toe to toe with like Angela. He belongs on Bad Girls Club or like I don't know, the Real Housewives of the Challenge or something. It just needs to be like him and like Trishelle and Paula just like sipping white wine spritzers and like yelling in each other's faces.
Their plan goes perfectly into motion, and then CT right before the elimination cuts a little side deal with Lolo where it's like, hey, if it looks like an easy win for you, we'll throw you in, you give us the nod. And it's a smart deal to make because they don't really have, I mean, CT personally doesn't have as many allies as Big T. And getting someone like Lolo, I think part of him also thinks like, oh, later in the season, Lolo might steal me as a partner and I want to run a final with Lolo. And I think that's like subconsciously in his head why he made that deal, which I think it's a smart play for both sides. Worst case scenario, you knock out one of Tori and Anissa, and the way Tori's going, she's still going to have a target on her.
Yeah.
They get to the elimination itself, and then they make the play. They put Tori in.
More best friends against best friends.
It was freaking hilarious because Amber M shined in this voted because everyone is like looking at Tori like whoa, and like people are like, all right, let's go Tori, like clapping, and you just see
Yeah.
Amber like not even responding to it, like
Loved it.
she's just like not even like looking back to Tori, she's just like in the stands, and then TJ's like, oh, it looks like you're creating some friends up there, and then
Right?
Amber M throws up a heart at her, smiling, and it was very much like, have you ever seen the meme of the little girl with the house on fire behind it?
Yeah,
That was the
that
exact
was her.
vibe. That was her watching Tori like, hey, you thought I was weak, right?
Yeah. Show me how weak you are. The vibe that it gave me was very like the calling out of the name very much gave me like Dirty 30 Jemmy being like, Jenna.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
it
just
like
one of
it
those
gave me
moments.
that kind of I was like, yeah.
Amber's like, yo, politics are part of the game. Looks like you're pretty weak at this politics part.
Oh, apology again, trying an accent. I'm so sorry, Jemmy. I don't know why I thought I could do Jemmy's and also that Boston accent a while ago. My apologies to anyone uh, who had to hear that. But the elimination was entertaining.
It was a bit. It was they had a giant uh what would you call it? A wheelbarrow. It's like a crate.
Just like a bucket, like a metal basket.
Yeah, a giant metal trash can type basket with all these weighted balls in them. They called bombs. Players would have to grab a rope and pull it in towards them, and then try to knock it over. After they get it, they then have a wall with 20 squares on it, and they have to throw the ball through these squares. Seven of them are false panels that are solid.
Yeah.
13 of them are not. And once you break through 13 of them, you win the elimination. Most times, I hate these type of eliminations because you could do better than your opponent and lose because you just went for the wrong panel. I mean, you're just
Yeah.
kind of playing a more luck-based version of Battleship at that point.
Oh, yeah. Also, it I don't know. I don't think there's like a real strategy to it.
No, there is none. It's just like,
Like,
all right. It's just once you hit one that is a false panel, you just know not to aim for that one. But if your opponent, like, you could hit all 20 of them, and then your opponent could get all 13 on their first attempts, just like based on luck.
I would have liked it better if it was sort of like a puzzle. So like if one side had like a picture of a triangle and the other side had like the gold skull, and then you had to like throw the bomb to flip it and keep all that. Like sort of like a matchup game. I think that would have entertained me further.
Yeah, maybe make it like a Connect Four type thing or something like
Yeah,
that.
where
Yeah,
you have to like
that
remember
would have
which
made
one's
way
on
more
which side.
sense.
Yeah, and then like you could accidentally throw the ball and knock one over that you didn't mean to hit from before, and then you'd have to do it again.
This is much better than the elimination we got.
Sorry.
In actuality, uh, what happened was Anissa, they both pull their card in. Anissa gets hers in, I want to say like 5 seconds faster,
Oh
but
yeah,
hers gets knocked down, whereas Tori's does not knock down because right before she gets to the end, she stalls and then tries to pull
yep.
it, and you need momentum. And I don't know what Tori was thinking, where she just grabs like as close as she can to it and the rope and just starts trying to pull it like this.
Yeah, and then she was doing that thing where she's like throwing her arms in the air. She's like, "What? Mine's broken. Mine's not working." And you're like, "Just, it's fine. Just pull it."
Yeah, it's you have to get farther on the rope for first off. Like she was way too close. She had to
Yep.
get farther down on the rope to get more leverage to get a better pull. So that way it would make an actual diagonal horizontal movement upwards. Uh,
Yeah,
and she had no momentum going either. So she's
and
just trying to pull it, and you need the momentum. She's not strong enough to lift, like just to
no.
push over 300, 400 pounds like that. Like you can't.
And I know that a lot of people are probably like, "Okay, you're just like sitting at home and you're watching it, and like you don't know how hard it is." This isn't Tori's first time seeing an elimination or like a challenge like this. You know what I mean? Like if you've done one similar challenge to this, then you've sort of got the idea down. And if
You know what's
Tori is
funny?
like such an amazing player, how come it took her so long to figure out how to pull a basket down?
Yeah, you know what's funny is that if Jordan was in the stands, he'd be shouting at her, but giving her actually the right strategy.
Like simultaneously like trying to get back the engagement ring, but like also being like, okay, but you just have to step back and like put your left foot there, put your right foot there, and pull.
That would have been like she could have won this elimination had he been there to yell at
Yeah,
her like that, and people on Twitter would have been like, "Jordan's so annoying for yelling at her," and it's like I just watched this girl just fumble this basket for
yeah.
probably like 10, 15 minutes. What's
For a
funny
bit,
is
it looked
that
like Anissa was gonna go help her. Anissa was like,
yeah,
oh no,
Anissa was done with 10 out of 13 panels
yeah.
before Tori even like knocked her down. She's like, "Oh man, really sucks to see my best buddy Tori screwing up like this."
I'm like, what?
Another two of my favorite moments was Fessy being like, "Yeah, Tori and I, we just look at each other and we both know what each other's thinking." And it's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
we all
you
do
guys,
too.
yeah, it's like you guys want to bang, like you guys want to
Yeah,
cheat on your significant others. Like we get it, we see that. Like you didn't need to say that, Fessy, for us to know.
yeah. I have eyes. I have eyes and I have Instagram. I know exactly what you were both thinking.
Amber
Uh,
M. Also, it's just smiling there watching Tori, this girl who called her weak, just can't get the bucket over, can't get the
oh,
thing done. Uh, Eventually, she gets it done, and I think the final score in the end is 13-6. Just a massive blowout win by Anissa.
yeah.
Over time, it's going to be remembered more as a loss from Tori than a win for Anissa because it was embarrassing how bad she lost, especially after, calling all these girls weak.
All of them. And then she doubled back on it. She was like, well, like, at least I lost to like my friend, like somebody that I like respect as a competitor. I'm like, I think we could run the tapes back. And you probably haven't been saying that about Anissa until it seems like production set you up on a play date with her one day.
You know, we lips moving in a confessional and they had Wes's voice. Like, I see how bad my friend wants it. And as I see my
Oh,
friend wanting it so much, I think, like, I can't take this from my friend. He wants it so
I didn't
much.
want this as much as him. I'm like, when Deb's like,
Except,
I just didn't want it that bad. I'm like, who wrote this script?
and what's funny is that even with Wes saying that, it was somehow still less fake because, like, we've actually seen Devin and Wes's friendship for like 4 or 5 years now
Yeah.
online, whereas like this Tori and Issa stuff is out of nowhere. And then after the elimination, Tori's like, "Yeah, you guys got to put respect on Anissa's name," after she's actively tore other women down
Yeah.
as her MO this season.
Uh, it all just seems like one big ploy so that people will like listen to that podcast.
One of
And
my
I
favorite.
I have no interest in listening to it. Not just because it's like a competitor for this, but I don't really
one
care to hear Tori's opinion on this.
one of my favorite things is that TJ. He always like. I think he's like Anissa's biggest fan over the
Right.
years because he's
Yeah.
like, Anissa, that's your 10th ever elimination win, which I want to note that makes her second all time for female elimination wins. But it's also not noting the fact that she has 10 losses as well.
Yeah. Uh, TJ's doing like a weird thing this season. Maybe it's because he's the handler and not the host. But like, I know that last elimination, so last episode, he was like, "You have anything you want to say, Nelson?" It's like TJ never does that. He never
Hey
has like
Nelson,
after speeches.
you want a Chick-fil-A gift card when you're on your way home? I hear the hotel the airport has a nice Chick-fil-A in it. We'll hook you up that way.
Burger
And yeah.
King. Burger King doesn't want you to go home empty-handed, so here's a paper crown that anyone can ask for. Do you think Burger
Yeah.
King will sponsor this podcast? Because I do really like those crowns.
I hope. I mean, spicy nuggets, $1.49, perfect.
Not here. We don't have them. So hold on.
Spicy nuggets are the superior type of nugget. It's just more flavor.
It's all about whatever sauce you use, though. and your dipping technique.
What are you dipping in? What's your preferred sauce?
It depends where I am. So if I'm at McDonald's, I will mix sweet and sour and barbecue, so one in each. And if I
Okay.
don't have access to those, I'll dip it right in honey. Um, Burger King barbecue sauce because I like and it's the same with Wendy's because I like the breading that's on those ones. Totally different. McDonald's, it has to be the like boot shaped ones. Those are the best ones. They dip the best. They taste better.
McDonald's for me definitely sweet and sour. Wendy's, I agree barbecue, and then Burger King sweet and sour. It's a way different sweet and sour, but yeah. And then Chick-fil-A, obviously Chick-fil-A sauce.
We only have one Chick-fil-A here, and I haven't eaten there.
Oh, it's
But I want to throw
it's
Popeyes in there because Popeyes has nuggets, and in the like wild honey mustard.
oh, we only have strips from Popeyes.
What? Oh my God,
Yeah.
that's okay. So I got healthcare, weed anywhere I want, and Popeyes chicken nuggets. Sweet.
All right. For the people who invested like 50 minutes in this podcast and then get this 2 minutes of nugget talk, you're welcome. Tell us what nuggets you
Yeah.
like. And also, after the elimination, uh, Anissa has a chance to pick a new partner, and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna take Fessy," just because, like, one,
Love it.
it's like, yeah, let me just screw with him, just,
So petty.
and you gotta wonder, like, is Fessy gonna throw himself down again to like get another skull to switch again? Because nobody wants him as a partner after what he did.
Nobody wants him as a partner. He just like blew it at the daily challenge. Like physically he's very strong and so like so is Casey. So it didn't make any sense that they didn't do well.
Yeah, I don't know. You can't really trust him after what he did to Nelson. You just can't.
No.
And then Leroy and Casey, they get reunited, and what's funny was that they were like, I had like Leroy's like, man, I had to deal with 1 week of Anissa, and Casey's like, I had to deal with 1 week of Fessy, and they were like traumatized, where they were like let's come together.
Yeah.
I
They were like, we
I
were doing fine together, so let's just do that again.
in my article I call them like a wallpaper picture frame combo, like what you got
Oh.
behind you right now in your.
Which one? Who's
Let's
who?
say,
Who's
let's
the
say
bear and who's the wolf?
let's say they're both Leroy. Let's say they're both Leroy. It's
Okay.
a combo. This is what you get. That's the Leroy Casey partnership.
And
They don't want anyone to know they're there, but they are there.
this is Casey, right? The wall. And here was her own big brother. This little candle here in this bed frame.
Devin does not have a partner anymore, and I can't tell if what Devin did was idiotic or just like quietly genius, where he actively sabotaged Tori from the inside,
Yeah.
which
It
is smart if she's your enemy and was effective, but it's so extra.
again, it's the forced relationships with Tori for me. She's like Devin's like her nemesis, and then like Anissa's her best friend, and I'm like, I honestly just don't remember these people interacting that much. Did I miss that? Was there an episode that I missed that week that it wasn't on? Was that just like a whole special on like how Tori feels about everyone in the house?
What I love is that it's just she's gone now, and she felt like something that was dragging the season down. It's a
Yep.
fact. Devin just coming out like a daisy, man. Just like in terms of like from episode 1 to now, like easily
Yeah.
the biggest growth in my view towards them. Anything he accomplishes from here on, it's just great because he won an elimination, he won a daily challenge with someone he hates, and now he got the person he hates out of the house. If he can get Josh out of the game or something like that, then like his season would be fantastic for him. Like he's hitting on
Yeah.
all cylinders. And it's
Mine,
weird to say. It's weird to say because like we talked so much crap about him.
yeah. I would be very impressed if Devin could back his shit up and take out the Big Brother Alliance.
I don't think he can. The numbers are so stacked against him in this specific type format that I don't think he has a chance. But I think what he's already accomplished is cool. I think the format benefits those Big Brother players too much. And yeah, it just if he wins another elimination though, good for him, man. Good on him. Just keep
Yeah.
going. What would you rate the episode?
I'm gonna give it 5.5 of Nom's abs out of 8.
I'm gonna go 6 NAMAPs out of 8. Very solid.
Yeah.
Good episode. Moving on, it's one of those things where like Tori's gone, Wes is gone, all these people who are scapegoats are kind of gone, and now we kind of see the game really start to pick up a bit. You have to do worry though, like now that Ashley's back in the game, are they just gonna throw Ashley back in again?
Yeah. I thought that's what was going to happen.
Ashley was so happy when Big T won. She's like, literally one of the only people who did not vote me in to the first elimination won. Like my only friends won the daily challenge. This is the best day of my
Worked
life.
out perfectly for her. And I think her and Cory work well together. They were partnered up on Rivals 3.
I mean, Cory talked about it perfectly. It's like, I don't know what actually I'm getting. We either are winning this whole season or we're leaving next week. Like that's the that's the Ashley dichotomy,
That's
bro.
the gamble. I love it.
And
I take it.
that'll be our episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you like this episode, even if you disliked it, if you hate us, keep
You like
listening.
chicken nuggets.
Yeah, if you love chicken nuggets, especially subscribe on YouTube, on Spotify, on iTunes. Uh, Also, follow Nikki on Twitter at the Nikki Sin, on Instagram at the Nikki Sin, or her website, thenikkisin.com. Or you can
Yeah.
follow me on Twitter at the Alan Aguirre, Medium at the AlanAguirre.medium.com, or just type in Alan Aguirre on Facebook and send me a message. I get a lot of weird random messages, and I answer them because I have the time.
Oh, great. Do you get a lot of like sugar daddy requests? Because I can send
Ooh,
like a whole bunch your way. I've got a lot.
one can dream.
Yeah. Well, everybody remember to wear a mask. I'm throwing that out there. Well, I have a.
Very important.
Yeah.
Keep watching the challenge. Keep watching our channel. We got some really fun stuff coming up. I think I'm going to have a top villains in challenge history video coming up and a top good guys article. So stay tuned.
I'm excited.
All right. Have a good night.
Bye, everyone.